and planning, you don't need to do as much travel as you would otherwise. So the name Spalva, the question was how did it come about. So it has two words combined together, Spaces and Alba. Alba was the first genetically modified rabbit way back in 1970s when genetic engineering was taking shape. One of the first experiments was done on this rabbit known as Alba, which was fused with the genes of a jellyfish, and this rabbit used to glow in the dark. And when we were looking for a name for our company, this is the right thing that we're doing. We're basically genetically modifying the way the industry would function once we have all the event venues on the platform. You would not need to travel, you would not need to go and hunt around for the venues. You can come to Spalva and do whatever you want to do in terms of basically genetically changing the way the industry functions is what the whole concept is.
Thank you so much. When you translate your online booking, is it at any point of time, or what point of time rather, let me put it this way, is that there is actually a physical paper that comes into it? So till the time that somebody goes on the app, books it and uses it, is there paper used or is it all online?
It's all majorly online. So this is a question that has come up a lot of times, right? I mean, can an online platform like Spalva, can it completely do away with a physical aspect to it? The answer is no. But can it reduce it significantly? Yes, it can. So for example, if I want to do an event in Hyderabad, right, I can, if I go there physically, I would want to visit 20 maybe different venues before I finalize anything. But on Spalva, if you come, you can maybe reduce it down to the last two which you want to finally go and see. So it significantly reduces about 80 to 90% of that effort that you would otherwise take physically. Nothing, I mean, if anybody tells you that an online platform can completely do away with physical process, that's just not possible. Can it physically reduce? Yes, it can, significantly.
Amazing. So that's an honest way to look at it. I'll go to Jigyasa now and ask you, very briefly to begin with, why don't you highlight?
And so I'm telling you based on my experience when I go to, for example, I won't mention names, but when somebody knows I'm a journalist, very commonly they imagine I could be somewhere on any news channel, I would be on the TV. Oh, which news channel? Least interested are people in what do I, what my focus area is, what my beat is. So thank you for asking that. I work independently for several national and some international organizations. I write. I do photograph also, photojournalism. I also make documentaries, and I illustrate also. I'm an artist also. I paint also. So through all these means, through all these modes of communication, I try to do journalism. And my focus areas are the marginalized areas of North India. I've been reporting for past 5-6 years from UP, MP, Bihar, Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Rajasthan. Yeah, so that's what I do now. How that is, connected to sustainability is, or rather I would say SDG is, fifth and 10th point of SDG is gender equality, and then also inequality, removing inequality. Then also comes obviously climate action. So it is, it's very easy for us journalists to maybe aware people through these means. It is up to us what beats we choose, how we tell our stories, how we write the news, how we show the news, how we photograph the news, we would know better. And being a photojournalist, we can choose the lens. I try to do my stories through a gender lens. A lot of times there have been questions like, why do female journalists mostly cover gender-based news? Then why aren't there male journalists doing that? We won't need to. I also do health journalism. I write majorly on reproductive health, and I have never met. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, just 7-8 years of experience, but that's enough for me to be able to tell you that I haven't met a single male journalist covering female reproductive system. For that matter, gender as a beat per se, which is huge, which has a lot within, and it's not just about women. We know that it has trans women, trans people, entire queer community. So yeah.
Talking of using photographs and the beats being towards sustainability, there's a bunch of influencers here in this room, and all of these influencers have been working and using photographs, videos to talk about the town, and we've only begun this exercise with them now, and they have reasonably good followers. I mean, right from upward of 50,000 to maybe 2.5 to 3 lakh. And most of them are in the room. We've acknowledged their participation in the development of Gorakhpur. And what we have told them is a thought that I would want to share with you, Meherbai, is that when you write a story, or when you on independent portals, or you cover a story, like I've asked them, is it possible for you to choose, when you choose the beat of the story, to carry the logo as well? And I'll give you a good reference to this. The last trip that Dr. Aditi was here with us, we had a very good conversation on the work that she was doing on health and well-being, mental well-being in particular. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you mentioned to me of the work they do with the police, and we've kind of thinking of working with her on that and taking it on how we can help them. But what was very quick to understand, and somebody really has to have the honesty to this, that have to say, I wasn't aware of this, but now that I am aware of this, I'm going to do something different. And she went back, and we had her new approach where it was glam to green. Can journalism also go green? Not in terms of what Stalba does, is where the usage of paper is reduced by an online platform, but in the story that you write. So what she said, if I pass on the question to you and then come back to Jigyasa, Stalba is talking about reducing. Can we go green on a story coverage? Is it possible? And yet be a journalist?
Of course. In fact, thanks to technology, it is possible in many ways. Like for instance, I've always worked for a national weekly, and 50,000, 5 lakhs, 10 lakh copies get published on a weekly basis, and it's circulated all over the country, not just in English, in other languages as well. So when I started, actually my conscious decision was that I will not print it on page. One, the great advantage is you don't have to wait for the magazine, it's instant, and anyone and everyone across the globe can read it. Also the picture quality and so many other add-ons can also be done. Now, talking about SDG goals, I think it's a brilliant idea, and perhaps we can think in terms, at least in Vyakti, that when we profile people, Vyakti is a platform where we try and understand the world through people. People who have made bold choices, people who have led a life which in some way or the other would be exemplary for others. And when we look at those personalities, we can of course, from the 17 goals, we can pick one or two and tag along the profile and say, well, he falls in that category. And also there was a lot of discussion about, SDGs being called SDGs, but it's been there always. And I think it sort of to codify, it's about coexistence. To codify it serves a certain purpose, like for instance, say, and here journalism and media can play a vital role, is to, and especially St. Paul's schools setting an example, and I was thinking how best this can be done. So like for instance, say I know musical notes, or say for instance I know a particular song, or say I know a poetry, and somebody is reciting, and I say, well, that's nice, but that sentence is wrong, or this was not there. Or say I know to play a sport, and you say, well, you play cover drive well, but your feet doesn't move. So at least I have that awareness of how that game is played, and therefore I can sometimes not just correct others, but me myself and say, well, I need to improve on that. So if I know these codes, and I know them in the sense that I'm aware and internalize it in my daily life. So when I act on certain things, I'm like, I'm not meeting, SDG goal 4. perhaps, or I was, in certain cases, well, I didn't meet this particular goal. It is just being aware, and I think the charity begins at home, and in this particular case, it's just about being awareness. And 90% of the case we already do, but for those remaining few, I think it is very important to be aware. And I think I congratulate St. Paul's School under your leadership of having created that awareness. And I'm sure children, when they go back home, will be correcting their parents, neighbor, folks around, friends, that this is what it
Right. So, and just as a quick wrap up on this, so what I was trying to say to both you and Jigyasa is, and I think what you've answered, is that when you write a story, could that be supplemented or rather complemented with an SDG logo, that story is relevant? What will happen is, because people read you, they will at some point of time will go at Google. Some initially will ignore it, will go back to Google and see what is this. And the moment they've done that, even though you're not written that, they will correlate the story of the SDG and the story that you've written. So our only call for action from this platform to both of you is to make note of that and take it forward. And to Spalva, I will say, and I will also, I'm not aware, but I will also say this through the trust legal chapter, and to Mr. Sudhir Mishra, if he's paying attention, is that can Spalva also, like we have been requested to the writers, when you do a project like Spalva, can you see the concurrence that you have with an SDG goal and carry it in their collaterals? If that's the promise, we note that the lawyer is willing to take on behalf of the client. We are willing to sign off from there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. May I request all the awardees to get ready with their awards to come up. But before we get that, may I request our guests of honor, Professor Poonam Tandon, Vice Chancellor, GD University, Gorakhpur, as well as Dr. Dipin, to please come up on stage and do the honors for one award that we want to give, and then also have all the other awardees to come up and so can I request Akash Ranison to please come up on stage, a loud round of applause for the good work that he's done, a climate activist that has taken writing about it, a climate optimist, book author who's here for him to be awarded with. And I request all the other awardees to please come up on stage with their awards. You can please come up on stage. May I request that Ranjit Chandra please come up on stage as well. May I request my colleagues, Mr. Sanjay Srivastava and Sonali Semwal, to please also come up on stage for the group photograph with all the awardees as we call a wrap up for the Guardians of Sustainability Chapter 2, 2024. Our jury members, I request Sudhir Mishra, Jyotish Pail, please come up. May I also request all the panelists to please come up that have been on various panels to please come up for a photograph and make it historic. Please, the panelists please come up. Sonam, Ripu, our keynote speakers.
some of the kids that perform.
Come.